BMW fans absolutely hated this car. Some called it ugly, a monstrosity. Others said it betrayed everything BMW stood for. The design was so controversial, so divisive, that it sparked a civil war among car enthusiasts. And yet, this very car, the one that supposedly ruined the brand's reputation, ended up changing BMW and the entire auto industry forever. This is the story of the BMW that almost destroyed the brand, but instead secretly saved it. To understand the shock, you have to understand what came before. In the late 1990s, BMW was on top of the world. They were the undisputed kings of the sports sedan. Their cars were celebrated for their timeless, elegant designs. Think of the E38 7 Series, the E39 5 Series, or the E46 3 Series. They all shared a clean, athletic look, sharp but understated. The kidney grills were modest, the headlights were simple and iconic, and every line flowed perfectly. These weren't just cars, they were statements of taste and engineering purity. Inside, the story was the same. The cockpit was designed for one person, the driver. The center console was famously angled towards you, putting every control right at your fingertips. There were no confusing screens or complex menus, just simple, intuitive buttons and classic orange-lit gauges. It was a formula that worked. BMW had a fiercely loyal fanbase who bought their cars for this exact reason. The ultimate driving machine was a promise they delivered on every single time. They were predictable, in the best way possible. You knew what you were getting, and it was always excellent. So when it was time to replace the beloved E38 7 Series, everyone expected more of the same. Another masterpiece of subtle evolution, but that's not what they got. In 2001, BMW pulled the covers off the all-new 7 Series, codenamed the E65, and the automotive world collectively gasped. Then the anger started. When BMW revealed this car, the reaction was brutal. It was a complete and total departure from everything that came before. The front end featured these drooping, sad-looking headlights that were a world away from the aggressive, focused look of its predecessors. The clean, simple lines were gone, replaced by complex, layered surfaces that seemed to clash with each other. It was bigger, bulkier, and to many, it looked awkward and disjointed. The design, led by a controversial designer named Chris Bangle, shocked everyone. It wasn't just different. To the loyalists, it was an insult. The car that was supposed to be the flagship, the pinnacle of BMW design, was seen as a betrayal. But nothing, and I mean nothing, caused more outrage than the rear of the car, the trunk lid. It's famously known as the Bangle butt. Instead of a clean, flat surface, the trunk had this high, pronounced deck lid that seemed tacked on as an afterthought. Fans and critics were merciless. They said it looked like someone had dropped another car's trunk on top of the BMW. It completely disrupted the car ES profile and became the symbol for everything people hated about the new design direction. The tall trunk, the strange sharp lines, the unconventional proportions. Fans insisted it didn't look like a BMW at all. It was a radical statement, and the brand's followers were not ready for it. They felt the company had lost its way, chasing trends instead of honoring its heritage. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Online forums, which were just becoming a major force in car culture, exploded with rage. Threads with thousands of posts were dedicated to tearing the E65's design apart. Petitions were started, demanding that BMW fire Chris Bangle and return to its classic styling. The media was just as harsh. Magazine headlines called it a design disaster. Top automotive journalists questioned the company's sanity. This wasn't just a few grumpy fans, it was a full-blown crisis. And it hit where it hurt most: sales. Initially, sales of the new 7 Series suffered. Longtime customers were turning their backs on the brand, opting for the more traditional designs of competitors like Mercedes-Benz and Audi. It looked like BMW had made a catastrophic, brand-killing mistake. But here's the thing. This wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated risk. BMW's leadership knew they couldn't keep making the same car forever. The world was changing. Technology was advancing, and customer expectations were shifting. They didn't want to just follow, they wanted to lead the industry into the 21st century. The E65 was their vision of the future. The controversial exterior hit a technological revolution. This was the car that introduced the world to iDrive. Today, every luxury car has a central controller and a big screen, but back then, it was groundbreaking. It was an attempt to declutter the dashboard by consolidating hundreds of functions, audio, navigation, climate control, into a single interface. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. The first generation of iDrive was notoriously complex and confusing, adding even more fuel to the fire. But it was a necessary first step towards the digital cockpits we all use today. The car was packed with other innovations too, like the first 6-speed automatic transmission in a sedan and an electronic parking brake. BMW wasn't just designing a car, they were building a technology platform for the future. They were willing to alienate their old guard to attract a new generation of tech-savvy buyers. And then a funny thing happened. While the purists were still complaining, other car manufacturers started to pay attention. Suddenly, those tacked-on trunks and complex surfaces started appearing on other cars. Audi, Mercedes, even Lexus. They all started incorporating elements of Bangle's design language into their own vehicles. The sharp creases, the high deck lids, the layered surfaces, it all became mainstream. The E65, the car everyone called ugly, had single-handedly changed the language of car design for the next decade. Over time, its bold design became normal. What was once shocking started to look familiar, even ahead of its time. BMW had taken the hit, but in doing so, they had dragged the entire industry forward. The designs of the BMWs that followed, like the hugely successful E93 series and E65 series, were direct descendants of the E65's controversial style, just toned down and refined. So, where does that leave the E65 today? Looking back, it's clear this car was a misunderstood legend. Was it perfect? No. The initial design was challenging, and the first-gen iDrive was a usability nightmare. But it was a pivotal moment for BMW. It forced the brand to evolve, to take risks, and to stop living in the past. It was the necessary shock to the system that propelled BMW into a new era of dominance. Today, a well-maintained E65 has a certain presence. The design has aged surprisingly well, and many now see it as a bold, interesting piece of automotive history rather than an ugly duckling. It represents a time when a major automaker was brave enough to risk everything to push the boundaries. Love it or hate it, there's no denying the E65's impact. It's the car that almost broke BMW, but instead, it reshaped it. It's a reminder that sometimes the most hated creations are the ones that end up changing everything. What do you think? Was the E65 a disaster or a stroke of genius? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy deep dives into car history, make sure to subscribe for more stories.